Hello and welcome, and thank you for joining me today. We're going to learn a little bit more about CB Direct Connect, our new online way of contacting our sphere. I want to start by talking a bit about the AVP, something we've had now for 3 to 4 years. It's a great program. The whole idea behind the AVP program obviously was to create a quarterly mailer system. Now I know many of you recognize the real need to be able to contact your sphere, past clients, many more times a year than quarterly, but at least quarterly is a good start. We also realized that by having events, things you could actually call around, really made the big difference when it came to turning sphere into closings. We also discovered that this whole process is built on one concept, and that is building meaningful relationships. And certainly now, more than ever, that's one of the most important things we can be doing. But here are some of the concerns, maybe the challenges, if you will, we've discovered about the AVP. First of all, quarterly is way too infrequent. I'm hearing from you that really once a month, once every 3 weeks, maybe once every 6 weeks makes the difference. At the same time, by sending out cards with third-class postage, we're just not getting the impact we need to get. See, here's what happens. You send out cards to 100 people, third-class mail. If over the year or 2 years, a couple of those folks have moved away, the problem with third-class mail is the mail isn't forwarded to their new address, and we aren't even notified if they've moved, if it's undeliverable. That's certainly a problem. Also, sometimes when you send out a card, you don't know if the consumer who gets that card takes the card and throws it in the trash can, or do they realize this is the perfect home, the home I've always wanted, and they post it up on the refrigerator and it sits there forever. We just don't know. But more importantly, it's not interactive. You see, if you receive a postcard and you want more information, what do? All you can do is pick up the phone and call you, the agent, or maybe go online and try and locate that property somewhere on the internet. Well, quite frankly, it's inconvenient, and if it's inconvenient, it just doesn't happen. So the idea is we've got to figure out ways of creating more interactivity. We don't know if they receive the actual mailer, but here's an example. We do, let's say, the sweepstakes, one of our most successful promotions we've ever done. In that case, we have to tear the card off the bottom as a consumer, write our name on the card, get a stamp, put it in the mailbox. Again, if it's not convenient, it just doesn't happen enough. Now, I think if I were to ask you the question, what would make the most sense? Knowing what we all know about technology, the society we live in right now, is there a better way to connect with our sphere? I think you might agree that email certainly holds some great possibilities. But if you're like me, it also has some serious shortcomings. One of those is, if I send out 200 emails, I don't know who gets it. I don't know if they've actually received the email, or is it just going into their spam filter or their junk email box? We just don't know. And until we can change that, quite frankly, it doesn't really make any sense to use email. But imagine this, if you will. Imagine if we had the ability, right now today, by using technology, to be able to send out 1, 20, or 200 emails and know of those emails we sent out, who actually saw the email, who opened the email, and if the email was designed in such a way that it was interactive, where I could click through the email for more detailed information, say on a house or a news article, and I knew as an agent that they were actually doing that, then it might just hold some real possibility. Well, let me share with you something we've just developed I think you're going to find very, very interesting. It's called CB Direct Connect. Here's how it works. Imagine, if you will, that I held an open house this past weekend in Washington Park. And I had about 44 people come through. It was a busy weekend. And I was able to get 19 email addresses of attendees at that open house. So as I left that open house, I sent out a newsletter just to those 19 people. Here's what it would look like. So assume for a minute this is your email server. This is how you get your email. And you were an actual attendee of that open house. You get the email. It says it's from Chris McGatt, not some big computerized thing, but Chris McGatt. And by the way, you could reply back to this email and it would go right back to my personal email address. As I click open the email, I see a nice picture of a home, large enough I can actually see the property. I see the second home below it. I got a nice headline here, fairly compelling. It's also the subject line of the email. Then it says, new Wash Park listings priced $500,000 below appraisal. Certainly fairly compelling. As I scroll down the email, I also notice, besides the two properties, 2 recent news articles I can click through and get more information from as well. Plus, I can see the agent's name and photograph and other information. As I click one of these properties, I see a larger photograph. In fact, I see all the photos offered by the MLS. I see a map of where the property is located. I see neighborhood information as reported by Cyber Homes. I also see the schools that are served by this house. And what you don't see right here is actually a list of all the different comparables, sold properties in the marketplace as well. Now remember, we haven't even left the email yet. We're still inside the email. On top of that, inside the email, I can go in and pull a search of the MLS right from inside the email. Very convenient. Well, if you're like me at this point, I'm thinking, that's pretty cool. But as an agent, I don't have a lot of time. How will I find the time to create these obviously highly customized newsletters or just listeds or just solds or whatever it is you might want to send out to your people? So here's what I want to do. I want to walk through with you real time how long it would take to set up an actual flyer. So I'm going to have Todd, my colleague here, keep track of the time. And let's go ahead and begin right now. The first thing I'm going to do is put in my username and, yes, I know, yet another password. But you can make the password whatever you want it to be. I click into the program, and now I'm in the back room of the actual program, if you will, the dashboard. From here, I'll click the button entitled Real Estate Marketing. I'll click the button here. It says New Newsletter. Pretty straightforward so far. There's New Newsletter. And now I have 5 or 6 different templates I can use to create the newsletter or even a just listed or just sold card, e-card, if I want to. I like this one. It offers 2 properties and 2 news articles. Pretty straightforward. So we'll go ahead and select postcard B. That fancy headline you saw earlier, I can completely customize that. I could say, thank you for stopping by the open house earlier today. I could say, thought you might be interested in seeing one of my brand new listings. Whatever you want to do, fully customizable across the headline. You can also completely customize the area below that with information about yourself, your business, your history, areas you work, whatever you want to. And I'd recommend having 3 or 4 things available. And then simply copy and paste that information into the system. I click Next, and this is where it gets really fun. What I can do here is search properties by MLS number or actually geographic areas. Remember, I have access to the entire MLS, not just my listings or my office's listings or even my company listings. Any property I can pull up on the system. Any property in PPAR, Colorado Springs, any property in MetroList or Iris up north. So in this case, I've simply pulled an MLS property because I want a very specific property for my newsletter. And it's so simple. It's just click and drag it over, just like that. I'm going to pull my second property now. Click and drag it down, just like that. Very, very straightforward. Now I have my 2 properties. I have the nice big photographs, remarks, bedrooms, bathrooms. That's what it looks like at this point. What I'm missing is a news article. And I'm sure many of you have taken the time to clip out newspaper articles, keep them available to be able to give out to people, your clients and customers. This makes it so much easier. All I have to do here is go into the Next button, and it will publish all the most recent news articles off of AP and UPI. Wall Street Journal information, New York Times, even the Denver Post, USA Today, Denver Business Journal, Northern Colorado Business Journal, any one of our local publications as well. And it will publish every article relating to real estate. Now, quick word of warning here. As I discovered, these aren't articles that are positive about real estate. They're articles that are about real estate. So before you use one of these, make sure you read the entire article. Again, simply select the news article you want and drag it down. It's just that easy. Now we have our completed template right here. Let's send it off to somebody. We have a distribution list. In fact, you can create as many distribution lists as you want to. That's the magic behind the program. You're going to find one of these is called Primary Sphere. My recommendation is to put your AVP list into the category called Primary Sphere so we can use that into the future. I select the people I want to go to, either one by one, or I can simply take the entire distribution list if I want to. All right, so at this point, the next step is, what are we going to do when it comes to actually knowing what a consumer sees or what they are doing with these emails? I'm going to take it right now back into the back side of the program. But before I do this, I want to mention one thing that I hear oftentimes. And that one thing is, this is great, Chris, but I work so hard to get the streets, the cities, the zip codes, the names, the phone numbers of all my sphere. I don't have their email address. So I want to encourage you to do something right now while it's still fresh. want you to hop on the phone. I know it's that dreaded quarterly phone call, and it's happening right now. I need you to call your sphere, call your past clients. I'm going to give you a script right now to use, something simple that I think will be effective in helping you get the important email addresses that you need. Here's how it would go. I'll use Todd as my example. I'll call up Todd, and I'll say, ring, 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 and Todd will say,
hey, Chris, how you doing?
He'll say hello. I'll say, hey, Todd, it's Chris McGatt with Coldwell Banker. How are you? I haven't talked to you in a week or a month, or maybe it's been a year. Depends on your list. But I was calling today because I want to share something with you. You know, there's been a lot of talk recently about the importance of going green, about how to better utilize our natural resources. Quite frankly, I'm embarrassed by this, but you ought to know that we as an industry have done a horrible job with this. You'd be amazed if you knew how much paper we used, how much ink we used. It's horrible, but I've made a commitment. I'm going to do my part to go green this year. I need to ask you a huge favor. I'm going to ask you for your personal email address, the one you actually get emails at. I'll make you 2 promises, though. First of all, I will not sell that email address you give me. Number 2, I will not share it with anybody. It's just between you and me. Does that seem fair? So, Todd, may I have your email address?
Yes, you may.
He'll either say yes or no, one of 2 things. If he says no, I need to obviously find out what's happening. I might say, well, Todd, I understand, not a problem. Would you like me to continue mailing things to you? He may say no. Again, I'm better off knowing that right now. If he says yes, which he will do 95% of the time, not a problem. Now I have his email address, but the call isn't over yet. The most important part of the call comes next, which is, oh, by the way, I could really use your help, Todd. Who do you know? Any family members, co-workers, neighbors that might be interested in buying or selling real estate? Does any one person come to mind? Shut up. Listen. Let him answer the question. Here's what you're going to find. If you call your sphere in the next 2 or 3 days, ask them for the email address, and at the end, ask them for business. You will not only get, on average, 95% of all the email addresses you need to get, you'll probably also do a deal or 2 because of it, which isn't all bad. Okay, let's now go back into the backside and discover what we can learn when we send out an email. I want to pick this one right here. This email I sent out went out to 199 people. I've discovered now with this system that 9% of the emails I sent were viewed. In fact, they clicked through on one of the properties for more detailed information, like the map. They've also viewed, 19% of the people viewed the email. 62% received the email but never even bothered to look at it. And 13% simply bounced. So as you see here, I can click the 199. It's highlighted in blue. And as I open that up, I can see every single person by name and email address of who received the email. I can also click the next column, which shows that 56 people actually opened up this email and looked at it. Here they are, by name and email address. I can also discover how many people, in this case 19, not only opened the email, but went behind the email one step further to be able to see more information. These are people we need to be contacting. And lastly, here are the 26 people that never even got the email. We need to call these folks and find out what happened. Did I go in their spam filter? Am I in their automatic delete? Or do I simply have the wrong email address? With any one of these people, I have the ability to click their name and find out what time they opened up the email, how many times they opened up the email. It's really important information that we need to have in today's day and age when you send out a just listed, a just sold, or any type of newsletter information out to your clients. So that's the concept behind CB Direct Connect. It's a great tool, and I really encourage you to use it. We are shifting as a company from our AVP, from our mail AVP, and how we did this before is we'd send out 4 times a year to 100 people in your sphere. That's changing as of today. From this point forward, we're creating 12 great events throughout the year. And you can send out to 500 of your past clients, your sphere, your friends and family, whatever you want to do. Should you go beyond 500, which we pay for, if you go beyond 500 to 1,000, so in other words, blocks of 500, the cost is just $10 per block. And here's the reason why. These emails have to go through what's called a white labeling company. That way they're not received as spam in the entire system. And there's a cost per email of about 2 cents, and that cost boils down to about $10 per 500, so keep that in mind. But just know this, that from this point forward, we will not be sending any more AVP mailers out the old-fashioned way, by mail. We're moving to this system because we are convinced this is the way to help you do more business in today's environment. This is the way you can target not only folks that attended open houses or people that may want more information about real estate in a certain neighborhood or area, but it's a great way to show your clients and customers, your sphere, your past clients, that you're active in the business. You're doing the business. They're seeing your new listings. They're seeing your just solds. It's just one more way to set yourself apart from the competition.